of 2023, the staff of Saco River Community Media joined the Presumpscot Regional Land Trust and the Gulf of Maine Research Institute for a group hike to the site of an alewife migration passageway located along the Millbrook Preserve in Westbrook, Maine.
Welcome! My name is Brenna Crothers. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Presumpscot Regional Land Trust. Thank you all for coming here today. We manage 18 preserves. This is one of our most featured because of the alewife migration. This is one of the coolest things you'll witness. The fish, they're already in the pool. We're gonna see a lot of action today.
On the day of our visit to Millbrook Preserve, National Geographic was recording footage for a feature story focused on how climate change is negatively affecting the Gulf of Maine. The Gulf of Maine is said to be warming faster than any other area on Earth, an ominous and troubling development with adverse effects on Maine's lobster and fishing industries.
It's a really crucial time to be monitoring these oceans in order to see the change that's coming. Alewives are kind of a key species for monitoring ocean health. Casco Bay is definitely in a warming period. Looking at our own backyard, we can kind of predict the global challenges and how things will happen in other areas that'll warm up that might not be warming as fast as we are here.
Since 1994, the water temperature of Casco Bay has increased by 3%, and overall fishing stocks have plummeted.
Thanks, everyone. I am Brenda with the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, and we're very excited to be partnering with the Presumpscot Regional Land Trust today. At GMRI, we develop and deliver collaborative solutions to global ocean challenges. And if you'll notice, we are not at the ocean today. One of the most important challenges is with regard to healthy ocean ecosystems. And the species that we're going to look at today and observe is a key species in some of our research.
The fish do tend to migrate from anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. And we still believe that this is not full force, that we're gonna see more fish in the coming weeks. But nature is ephemeral, and we don't always know what it's gonna look like when we come.
The Millbrook Preserve serves a key role in the largest fish migration in the Casco Bay watershed.
An alewife is a river herring, and so they're an anadromous fish, and they go from the ocean and they move up through the streams and rivers in order to reproduce.
Anadromous. So that means you primarily live in the ocean, but you spawn in fresh water. Alewives as adults live in the ocean. In the springtime, they swim up rivers into brooks, and they spawn in ponds and lakes. They spawn for, usually in the lake for a couple weeks, and then the adults go back downriver, and they swim out to the ocean to continue on the annual migrations. They go down the mid-Atlantic for the winter, come back here to feed in the spring and summer.
They'll start going up the Presumpscot around mid-May. It really depends on temperature, depends on rainfall. If there's not enough rain, they can't make it up. If there's too much rain, they can't make it up. So it's kind of really specific for conditions. There's not as many obstacles coming back down, whereas when they're going up, they have to stop and wait for conditions to be right to move forward.
The alewives' return is helping restore ecological balance to the Presumpscot River and its tributaries. None of this would be possible without dam removal. Prior to European colonization, 10 different fish species once migrated from Casco Bay to the Presumpscot River watershed. Anadromous fish species had been prevented from running up the Presumpscot River for over 250 years.
There's been restoration efforts to get rivers and streams to be how they were before man came and built dams and reshaped riverways.
The removal of the Smelt Hill Dam played a significant role in the Alewives' return to the Presumpscot River watershed. The Smelt Hill Dam was built sometime around 1890, and it was the first hydroelectric dam built in the state of Maine. After the Smelt Hill Dam was removed in 2002, alewives were once again able to migrate from Casco Bay, up the Presumpscot River, through Millbrook on their way to Highland Lake to spawn.
They have to go 12 to 13 miles. That is a pathway that's still full of beaver dams, full of other obstructions that they'd still manage to get up and over. And the Presumpscot Land Trust does a great job trying to clear debris as much as they can, but there are definitely still obstacles for them. So anytime that we can go up and make a clearer path for any of these anadromous fish is really helpful.
Alewives are found from North Carolina to Newfoundland, Canada. They are a species of herring that grow to 11 inches and can live up to 10 years.
Alewives, their scientific name is Alosa pseudoharenga, which means pseudo herring. They look very similar to an Atlantic herring. Sawbellies is the other name. So if you run your finger that way, it's very smooth. If you go against it, you'll cut yourself. The best thing that ever happened to alewives was the listing of Atlantic salmon as an endangered species. That brought a lot of money and interest in salmon.
People care about salmon. The salmon tend to get more funding, which means that anything that's kind of beneficial for the salmon is actually benefiting alewives and river herring as well, because you're clearing passage for salmon to go up. Salmon can kind of hide within an alewife school from predators. They can use a school of alewife and be in the middle of it and kind of act in more of a camouflage situation.
They get 3 million alewives swimming upriver at the same time that the couple dozen salmon smolt are coming downriver. It's great ecological cover for the salmon. So the chances of a bird eating that salmon smolt is greatly reduced when there's 3 million of these guys bright and shiny swimming along.
Maine's scientific community is closely monitoring this remarkable fish restoration story. Restoring traditional alewife migration routes here and elsewhere is critical to the ecological health of the Casco Bay watershed.
We do our monitoring. We use cast nets to capture up to 25 individuals because we don't want to do really any damage, but we want to get an idea of their body condition, see if they have anything in their stomachs. We see how ripe they are, if they are ripe and running, so if they're actively dispensing eggs. We can do isotope analysis, which lets us know kind of where they're eating in the food chain beforehand. There's so many different things that we can do with this actual fish. We take otoliths, which will give us their age. You can actually distinguish where they were born based on their otolith and their chemistry.
Alewives are what is known as a keystone species. When alewives and other migrating fish do well, so do a variety of other birds and animals that rely on healthy fish stocks for sustenance. Alewives spend about 2 weeks spawning in Highland Lake before they retrace their path back to the sea.
They spawn fairly quickly once they get up into Highland Lake, but then the hard part is to get back down. If the water levels aren't high enough, then it kind of can keep them trapped in Highland Lake.
They get stuck in the lake and they'll overwinter. In some places, the fish prefer to overwinter. There's some ponds down east where they do that naturally, but in places like this, the fish want to leave. And so it's really tough, water management-wise, to have enough water to let the fish get out. The juveniles they usually come down middle of summer through fall, unless there's not enough water coming out of the lake, and then they can't get over the spillway, so they get stuck. What happens is if they get stuck, they get stunted. There's not enough food in the lake.
Alewives play a vital role in food webs in both terrestrial and marine ecosystems. They are an oily fish that provide nutrient-dense food to a wide variety of wildlife.
Food is the really important thing about alewives. Everything eats them. So seals, birds, otters, raccoons.
They're major prey species, so everything is looking to eat them. By ospreys, by cormorants.
Alewives are a critical part of the ecosystem here in Maine and elsewhere. They support the web of life in so many vital ways, both in freshwater and when they arrive back to the sea at the conclusion of their epic journey. Alewives also support the lobster industry here in Maine as a key source of bait. Alewives are also important because they bring ocean nutrients into freshwater systems. Alewives can usually be observed along the Millbrook Trail in late May and early June, sometimes earlier. The best location to view the fish during the migration is the southern viewing pool of Millbrook, a forested site accessible from the Perry Court Trailhead in Westbrook. Large schools of fish are most visible in one location by a small waterfall as they struggle to make their way upstream to Highland Lake.
I bring my kids there to see these alewives, and they're always amazed by how many fish can fit in such a small area.
Up to 60,000 alewives may migrate from the ocean through Millbrook Preserve on their way to Highland Lake each year.
There's not as many obstacles coming back down, whereas when they're going up, they have to stop and wait for conditions to be right to move forward.
The alewives' return to the Casco Bay watershed has been nothing short of spectacular. Alewives typically spend 4 years at sea before their first spawning. Then they spawn every year. Females produce up to 300,000 eggs annually. Monitoring these migrating schools of Atlantic Ocean fish reveals much about the world they inhabit and how each species contributes to a healthy ecosystem.
We've been doing monitoring using environmental DNA. And so this is actually taking water samples below the falls and then above the falls and out at Mill Brook to see if we can actually time the migration using environmental DNA. So what environmental DNA is that as fish kind of swim through the water, they're shedding cells, their scales, they're shedding mucus and fecal matter, all those wonderful things are getting in the water, and then you take that sample of water and you can actually tell without seeing them and without actually catching them, we can still get an understanding of how many are kind of passing through. And so we start that in April, and then we kind of take samples through September.
The Millbrook Preserve is the largest forever conserved land in Westbrook. This preserve was made possible by the combined efforts of the Presumpscot Regional Land Trust in collaboration with generous landowners, the City of Westbrook, and the Casco Bay Estuary Partnership. To learn more about how you can support the amazing trail expansion and land preservation work being done by the Presumpscot Regional Land Trust, visit www.prlt.org.
Presumpscot Regional Land Trust is a nonprofit and it protects land in Standish, Windham, Westbrook, Gorham, and Gray.
We only have 3 staff people that work for the Land Trust. They exist to help people enjoy our preserves, and we partner with many of the other agencies and nonprofits in the area. But again, if you enjoyed what you saw today, we'd love to have you join as a member and support the work that we're doing out here.
Thank you so much for joining us here, and we hope that you'll stay connected with both GMRI and the Presumpscot Regional Land Trust.
Nature never fails to astound us with its resilience, complexity, and beauty. And those who work to preserve and protect our environment deserve our enthusiastic support. For more information about the vital, life-sustaining work being done by the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, visit www.gmri.org. In these times of environmental crisis, restoring traditional migration routes for native fish is a positive step forward. The alewives' return to the Casco Bay watershed is a promising step forward for the health of the Presumpscot River and its tributaries. Nature can heal itself if given a chance to thrive and flourish.
Alewives have been a staple of ocean ecosystem health, that when alewives are doing good, your ecosystem's doing well. I don't think it'll ever be what it historically was, but it's important to try to maintain a healthy ecosystem, and having the alewives return in large numbers really impacts that healthy ecosystem, and just the struggle that it can take for these fish to get to where they want to go just to reproduce. It's really quite an amazing story, an amazing feat by such a small fish.
A passion for science and discovery often begins early in life.
I used to love going to the ocean just to flip over rocks and find crabs. Whatever I could find. I've always been curious. I'm curious about everything. Mostly animals, but everything in general. So I think I've always been a scientist in that regard. To pursue fisheries itself, I've always loved to go fishing. I love swimming. I love just being in water, on the water, in the water, near the water. I'm all for it. And I've always found fish fascinating. Their behaviors are really amazing. And so that's kind of what led me into working with fish. And being a scientist overall is just a natural curiosity. I think everybody's a little bit of a scientist.